From WCPO 9, it's a new day.
Good morning and welcome to a new day. I'm your host, Tiana Henry. As you may know, June is National Home Ownership Month, and we have a special show planned for you because we are shining a light on housing insecure people in Cincinnati. Did you know the new face of homelessness in Cincinnati are families and Black women with children? In today's show, we'll shine a light and bring awareness about the problem. Throughout the show, we'll share with you some of the local resources offering assistance in our community. But first, we want everyone to understand the problem. According to Shelter House, we had more than 11,000 individuals in the entire homeless system in 2023, with more than 10,000 homeless people on any given night in our tri-state, including more than 3,000 families. 643 are youth under the age of 25, 676 are veterans, and more than 1,500 living on the streets. I have asked two brave women to appear on our show to share their experiences with homelessness in Cincinnati. Rameka Smith is a woman who is a professional, but she has a powerful testimony of overcoming housing insecurity. LeTecia Cunningham is an advocate for the homeless. You can catch her providing meals, clothes, and shelter for those who have lost their home. She considers this her life work and ministry. Good morning, ladies, and welcome to a new day.
Good morning.
You know, this is a very important show, and I'm so grateful for you, Rameka, for appearing on the show. Now, you have shared with me that you have experienced housing insecurity in Cincinnati. Can you tell me a little bit about your journey and exactly kind of what happened and how it came to be?
Yes, absolutely. So I was born and raised in Winton Hills here in Cincinnati, and kind of just on the lower spectrum, lower end of income. And so we made some moves around the country, up and down the East Coast, and ended up back here in Cincinnati and in a space where we found ourselves without a home. We did a lot of couch surfing, a lot of living with relatives and living with friends, and then we stayed in a homeless shelter downtown Cincinnati called the Anna Louise Inn, and we were there for a while. We've also had experience in the Red Cross shelters as well. But we kind of came to this space and place where my mother, as a single mother, just trying to make ends meet, was not able to come up with what was necessary for us to be able to have our own home. And so we got on a HUD housing waiting list, and until we were able to get into the HUD housing, we were in the homeless shelter. And it was an interesting experience. There were lots of rules that we had to follow. It was a beautiful thing to have somewhere to go. But as a child, it was me, myself, my two brothers, and my mother all in one room in this space. And, you know, they worked really hard to make it an encouraging environment. But there is something to be said just for not having your own space, your own a safe space to be and live in. And so we eventually were able to get on to the HUD housing waiting list and move into Findlater Gardens. And we were able to be there for a while. And so it was great growth, but it was definitely a situation and a time in our lives where there was a lot of just chaos and a lot of unsurety and not knowing where the next meal was coming from, or, you know, if you're a little late, how much trouble are you going to get into? But you know, it makes us stronger. It makes us who we are. And I have always, from that experience, had a passion for giving back and uplifting, and hopefully using my story and lived experience to help others in that situation just find the light.
Thank you so much for sharing that. That is so powerful. And one thing I want you to describe, can you tell people what is it that they need to know? What do they need to do to help people that are experiencing that, mothers with children?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing I would say, I learned a word a couple years ago called a suicide, where we are making so many assumptions about the people that we are trying to help that we kind of kill any building any potential relationship that would really help us to connect and to bring people together and resolve the issues. And so what I would say is, let's not make assumptions about anybody. Let's be intentional about allowing people to tell their own individual story and truth, and give grace. Giving grace is so important because we don't know how people got to where they are. We don't know the mental health challenges that are being faced. We don't know the generational curses that are trying to be lifted and broken. And so give grace and don't make assumptions.
Thank you so much for sharing that, and that's really important. And I want to let LeTecia get into this conversation. I've known LeTecia for many years. Now, LeTecia, they call her Mama T. She is boots on the ground. She helps everyone with anything that they need. LeTecia, what is it that is something that you are doing in the community right now, and how can people learn to help?
Well, I've been working in the homeless community for over 20 years. I've worked at some of the best shelters here in the city, Shelter House, Bethany House. Now I'm at the YWCA as their shelter operations manager with domestic violence survivors. It's just understanding there's a need and jumping in. If you see someone out there that is holding a sign or sleeping on the park bench, knowing that that person may need a meal, knowing that they may need socks, they may need help. Like she spoke on, mental health is on the rise, not just with our adults, but with our children, and understanding that there is a need out here and we all can get out there and do something. Yes, I get out there and the things I see at 2 a.m., 3 a.m. in the morning is unreal of. The mothers sleeping in their cars with their children, scared to say anything because they're thinking their children are going to be taken from them by 241 kids. So there's barriers there, not being able to afford rent, fleeing traumatic experiences, domestic violence. All of these things are happening here, right here in our city. And we all just have to get out there and help, and however you can do it.
Yes, yes. So I want to shine a light a little bit about, you all are part of wonderful organizations. And Rameka, you're a part of All-In Cincinnati.
Yes.
You all give back to the community and you really focus on what's going on with Black women. Can you just tell me just a little snippet about what you all do?
Absolutely. So All-In Cincinnati is a racial equity coalition geared towards removing barriers for Black women in Hamilton County. And so we really focus on systems and policy change in the spaces of housing, economic mobility, education, justice, and truth. And so we really work on uplifting these areas and working in these spaces to make sure that we're not just affecting on the ground, but also up above, where there are policies and systems that have been put in place that have created situations and systems where it makes it very difficult for Black women to be successful. And so we work on making changes on the ground and above, where we are affecting from both ends of the spectrum. We have a coalition meeting on the fourth Thursday of every month. We invite Black women, anyone really from the community who is interested and willing to work with us in the 5 areas of health, housing, education, economic mobility, and justice, to be a part of those coalition meetings to help make those systems and policy changes.
Thank you so much. And LeTecia, you're with the YWCA. Can you tell us a little bit more about the organization and the website?
Well, we are run by a fabulous CEO, Miss Raquel Howard, and we love her. She is doing some amazing things in the community, and racial justice, women empowering, domestic violence. So if you know anyone that is suffering from domestic violence, please have them call the hotline. Also, you can reach out to ywca.org and just connect with us. Many things going on there at the Y.
Yes. Well, thank you both for coming on the show. Thank you so much for sharing your story and your bravery. And you all come back and visit again. Come back to a new day.
Absolutely.
All right.